everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another snow adventure. It's pretty cold. It's in the low 20s right now, but there's wind or a breeze blowing across this way, and I just got here, kind of set up in the shade, which is a mistake. If you look in the field behind me, you can see it's pretty bright in the sun. It's very clear skies. One of the reasons why it's kind of bone chilling this morning. I got up fairly early in anticipation of coming up here. So last week, actually, you know what? I always do that. While I'm talking, I'm gonna make some coffee. And I brought some chili to make a little bit later. And I thought, I had talked about it last week in the video about my jet boil. I never opened it up to show you, but you've seen jet boils. You remember I said this is shorter and rounder. This is the Minimo jet boil I've been using for years, of two of them. And I talked about it last week, and it reminded me of for these kind of adventures, if I'm not camping overnight, and I don't really necessarily feel like setting up the whole cooking thing, heating up some beef stew or chili, especially when it's really cold, these things are really nice. Let me show you, give you an idea of. See what I mean? I have a very big hand. Look at that. As it can fit my fist in there. So as you're stirring, and you can eat out of this, it's really good. It's really good. And I watch a lot of outdoor and adventure, off-roading and overlanding videos, and whenever I see people use jet boils, it's always the tall, skinny one. So let me know down in the comments if you guys either use jet boils, do you have the other one, or do you know anyone who has one like this? Maybe you do. I'm really interested to know down in the comment section. That'd be pretty cool of you guys to go down there and let me know. So this particular one was the one I had in the Jeep, and I had talked about taking everything out of there, which again doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go away, but it's so much better because this bag, the bag you saw in the Lexus, it stays in there. This bag stays in here, and this was the bag that I had kind of the good stuff in. You know, my first go round of things that I was kind of putting together as that kit. I don't think this is going to be very good. So for the last year or so, maybe more now, maybe 2 years, I've been using Black Rifle Coffee's instant ones, and they're pretty good. They're pretty good for an instant. I know people love to grind and all that. I like coffee. I drink my coffee black. Nothing, no sugar, no cream, no milk, no whatever, ice cream, whatever people put into their coffees. I know people like to grind and do the pour over, and I don't do that stuff myself. So the simpler it is, the better for me. That I want the warmth of it, and I want like the caffeine of it. But today I'm doing a setup where I didn't bring either of my cooking bags. When I say cooking bags, they have all the pots and pans, all the spices, plates, coffee, utensils, all that stuff. So if I'm going to do any kind of cooking, no matter how small or how big, I need those two bags. And the reason why it's two bags instead of one was the second bag basically has this big pot in it, and it has a smaller pot in it, and that pretty much takes up all the room. If I didn't need that, I wouldn't really need the second bag, but it's not that big of a deal. Those bags are small, easy to move around. I started that back when Niels was down from Canada, and doing those really nice cook-ups. We were doing pastas and stuff like that where we needed the big pot. Oh, yeah. So what I was getting at with the coffee was the coffee, I've got it all bundled in those cooking things. And knowing that I was coming out here, I bought a bunch of the old Taster's Choice, Taster's Nasty stuff, instant, before I got onto the Black Rifle stuff. So I bought a case like from Amazon. So I've got tons of it. So I just threw a box in this bag. That's what I'm drinking today. And wow, there's a huge difference in taste. Huge. Oh, and this is my cup from home. So on the way up here, I was drinking. God, I never even look at what I drink the little Keurig K cups. I never remember what it is, but it's been the same thing for years. I had done some Starbucks, but I switched over to something else. Something Mountain. I don't remember. So what I did back then was to solve the lack of utensils problem. I got this little bag. Cool bags. Really cool bags. This is from a company called Step 22. So in here, which this just stays in this truck all the time. In here, I got this cool kit from Sharon that has, fork, knife, spoon, chopsticks in here. And it actually came with two. So one goes in here, one goes in the Lexus. I also bought another, everyone always makes fun of me for my super long spoons, but I bought another one so I didn't take out of the cooking kit. So that's in here. I also have, looks like I have a flashlight and a knife in here. It's kind of still at the beginnings, but it's got the basics of exactly what I wanted this thing to be. I wanted it to be small. It sits off to the side. It kind of gets pinched in where the back row seating that I took out. There's these bars on the wheel wells that are bolted in, and so in between the bar and the wall of the truck, it just sits in there, and I don't have to worry about it. I had to switch cameras, so it's going to sound a little bit different, just to be able to use the camera with my gloves. So I'm walking out the way I came in. I'm going to show you the depth of the snow. No one's been out here. No tracks whatsoever. Those obviously are my tracks coming in, leading right up to the 80. Big mistake parking in the shade. But I just I just wanted to start the video off and make some coffee. So last week, about early on in the video, I had stopped at the second location saying that I was up on a higher plateau and my camera can't catch how cool this looks to the eye, that I could look across a valley and see another mountain. Well, that mountain is right there. I was on top of that, looking back this way. This is the big valley here. And then there's another mountain over here that I have to cross just to get in here. But look at this. I call this a meadow. I don't know if it is, but I just love this. The road comes through here, the clay road, and there's a bunch of camping here. A few month or so ago, that one of the big hunting camps was set up back in these trees with big canvas tents and everything. This is an easy place to get to in the summer and fall and spring, and so even to here you'll see the caravan, the fifth wheel trailers and stuff like that. So it's a really nice place to come because look at the view. I have the getting up to the top of that high point there. There's a really cool track. you go up the road, and then you climb up, you get on top of that ridge, and you follow the ridge all the way around to the high point over here, and then it kind of zigzags down the steeper cliff faces like you can see over there. And it's a nice big loop, and both in monsoon and wintertime, it's a really fun track. I've got footage in videos going through there in the Jeep a couple of times, and those 37s like falling down into the bog holes through frozen, you know, the water in there's frozen, and other times where it's just mud in the monsoon season. It's a nice fun track. Today's Friday. A week ago Thursday it snowed up here. Wednesday night got about 4 inches or so, and I came up here. And then a few days later, last Sunday, it did 9 inches. And then 2 days ago, it did another couple inches. So it's got a base and 12 inches of powder. Now, one thing I haven't mentioned early on in this video and last video and the previous one where there's a little bit of snow is, unlike later in the year, this snow is like the kind you want to off-road in. It, you know, it's fluffy and powdery. It's not like that ice. It's actual snow. I'll grab it with my hand. Fluffy and powdery. So it's real fun to get through. But because there's no tracks, coming in here, I hit a couple areas that were like maybe, you know, drifts 2 feet deep, and you know, the truck got sideways, and it was definitely trying to put me in a ditch. I know there's a ditch there because I come through here in the summer, and that could have been dicey just because it's so deep. But it's really cold today. Low 20s and sunny would have been fine, but the wind is here, and it's cutting through me a bit. It's downhill pretty, you know, it's a pretty good downhill, and it falls off to the right a bit, but it's super narrow. And this is where I got to be careful not to get kind of caught in a drift. And, you know, the snow deep enough will steer the truck where it wants to go. It doesn't matter about the power of your steering. It matters. Oh, I think there's a little bridge up here down at the bottom too, crossing a creek. If you hear some whining, that's just that because I'm in 4 low, and I'm going about 20 miles an hour. So the faster you go in 4 low, not in all cars, but does it in this, does it in the Lexus, you know, that 4 low transfer case gears do a little whine. And it's not because they're bad. When I bought this thing had never been put in 4 low. It was driven in Colorado for all its life, and it was bone stock, everything. You can look back and see some of the videos of that a few years ago. Stock tires, not stock tires, but stock rims, stock suspension from 1997, like factory bushings, everything. So it wasn't off-roaded, no scratches, no brushes underneath. Pretty cool. And oh wow, there's a huge hawk up there, and I got it, you know, it's like 10 grand, right? Nowadays people are talking about not being able to get an 80 series for like 25 to 50,000 depending on what shape it's in. It's weird how the fluctuation of the market goes. I imagine that it's influenced. Here's where that edge, oh shoot. And here's the bridge. I couldn't even tell. I mean, the bridge, you could see there was a bridge there, but it could have been gone. And I just drove right into it because it's all covered in snow. I drove in pretty far, got to a spot in these trees here where I've cooked before a couple of times. It's actually really nice right in those trees. They're all in the shade right now. So I just drove back out on the little path that leads to this. This is the area that has in the background across the way a kind of another open meadow through those trees. But look at this bad boy. Who said old wasn't cool? 1997. So it's about time to get some chili going, I think. The back of the truck is full of icy snow and now it's melting in the sun. So you can see, like I said before, I wanted to get in where I was gonna have sunlight here. It's still breezy, but if you're in the shade and it's breezy, it's a lot worse. I'm gonna get set up, do a little chili cook up. All right, we got the chili going. So these jet boils, they do struggle a little bit in cold weather. Once it got going, though, it was okay. It's got to heat up the can a little bit. And with this, like I said, this is kind of the same theory as that pot that I had, really thin. So the top gets hot. It started to bubble within seconds along the top. So you have to stay after it, stirring it. I have it on really low. So today's chili, I actually had a couple of stag chilies, but I saw this one in the back. This is Campbell's Chunky chili with beans, and chunky sounded good today. It looks good. It smells good. It smells you can smell a little spice in there. If you can see what I'm doing here. It's bubbling already. Got to keep stirring it in these things, because it will burn. Man, I pounded that whole can of chili. It was good. It was good. I mean, canned foods like that's not something I'd eat every day, but just like I wouldn't eat Mountain House kind of the freeze-dried camping meals. But this has that same kind of effect. It's very hearty, very filling, and so easy to eat out of that thing. And the cleanup was I poured a little water in there, switched it around, threw it out, took a paper towel, wiped it. It was good to go. This is so much fun driving in this snow. I'm heading back through my own tracks. Still haven't seen anyone. Haven't seen any tracks. So I see a lot of, they look like probably a lot of rabbit tracks. There's some squirrel, deer, maybe some coyote. Up here there's a lot of elk. So there's a lot of tracks crossing the road. You see it like so obvious in the bright sun as you're going. I'm actually just like cruising. Like this snow, the snow is so perfect right now. Battling the snow last year because it would snow and then you get a week worth of pretty warm temperatures, maybe, you know, getting up into the 40s with the sun and everything. That's the track I went up last week, and there's all kinds of animal tracks around. Some of these, they're weird. It's like they're dragging their feet or paws or hooves, because they're not just really well-defined tracks. There's like drag marks in between them. I don't know what that would be. Something with short legs. There's such a huge difference in the snow. I was talking about last year, a lot of times it turned into cement snow, concrete snow. I like to call it Teflon snow. When you get stuck and your wheels are spinning, it smooths out the icy snow cement combo, and it looks like pure Teflon, which is white and smooth and super slick. And literally you're not going anywhere. Well, the wind is really kicking up here. I pulled off the road on another track. This snow is so perfect. It doesn't matter whether it's 6 inches in some areas or, you know, 12 to 14 inches in some areas. It's just going right through it, no problem, because it's really good snow. You could come out here in your truck or whatever you have. Speaking of that, I'm interested. 2 things. Either, I guess, if you could pick your dream, like, off-road vehicle or adventure vehicle or overland, whatever you want to call it, what would it be? If you said, it's not like you won the lottery or something, I'm just saying you could pick whatever you wanted and you could have that. Would it be like a Jeep? Would it be a Tacoma, 4Runner, whoever else makes off-road? So Land Cruiser, be a Lexus. What would it be? Would it be new? Or would it be older, like this guy? This guy's 97 right here. And the Lexus that I've been using in the last video, 2007. I'm curious. Comment down below. Let me know what your dream vehicle would be. Like if you didn't have to pay for anything and you're going to be presented that. Because like you might say, well, I've got an older Tacoma that I love, but if I could just pick a vehicle and didn't have to pay for it, it would be this. Would it be a Jeep? Would it be some kind of Toyota? It's funny because here in the US, it's like Jeep and Toyota are the 2 biggest ones. I mean, I'm not counting trucks. I'm not counting, you know, Ford, Chevy, Ram. That's a whole nother thing. I'm talking about these types of things. It's like you're either in the Jeep camp or in the Toyota camp, which I think don't limit yourself by that. Just be in the off-road camp or, you know, adventure, because I've got a Jeep. I've got these. I love them all. And I love them all for different reasons. I use the Lexus. You can see, I love that V8. It's a small V8, and you just power around with it. This thing is like slow, methodical, you know, tank. It just kind of goes where you point it. And they're sitting in the Lexus is like sitting in a car. It feels like a car. Sitting in this feels like a truck. You sit upright more. They're a completely different feel. Sitting in the Jeep is like sitting in like a space capsule. You know, it's got the small windshield, and I'm too dang big for it anyway, but it's like, you know, sitting in a small enclosed space. So they all have these different feelings. They all drive different. They all perform different. You know, I have to drive each of these vehicles differently in the snow. This one, I just putt it. The other one, I kind of get on it, you know. You know, to stay ahead of the curve. But what would yours be? I'm curious to know. I think I've asked a question like this before, and I got some really cool answers. And let's say that you don't off-road. Maybe you don't know. Maybe you might say, I'll have one of those. Because it's you know, this truck is my favorite of all the cars that I have, just because there's so much character with it. I've said this time and time again, but it's age and how it works. Slow, and I think Toyota was smart. I think they underpowered these things to where you don't break them like I would the Lexus by flooring it, right? They underpowered the engine, made it last forever, made it have a good amount of torque, and it's not bad on when you rev it up. You know, people have actually turbocharged these things and got some pretty good power out of them because they're well-built engines. But you know, braking axles and things like that, it's less likely if you're down on horsepower. You're relying on that slow kind of methodical torque to get you through everything. But all that being said, I'm going to take off. I'm going to head out. It's about 1 o'clock now. I've got 2 hours to get home. It'll take me 2 hours to get home from here. And what a perfect day. This has been the best snow day yet. You're like, really? There's only been 2 snow days? Actually, there's been like 5, but it's because I went back to back after snow fell, right? So when the first small snow came, I came up here. The next day I went to my local mountains. The next snowstorm, I came up here, I went into my local mountains. This last one, I went to my local mountains yesterday, and then I came up here. But this is the first time for the snow season of 24 that I've brought out the Land Cruiser. And I love them all for so different reasons. This truck totally reminds me of myself. Old and tanky. I've said that before. You make enough videos, you'll repeat yourself. I apologize. All right, everyone. Thank you for hanging out. I hope you got some peace with this. Some of the sound of the snow on the tires and the sound of nothing, and some good chili. It's really good. It's so good. This has been the best day so far, and I'm thinking about last year. This is the best, you know, out of all my snow trips last year, because all the snow sucked last year. It was here, but it was like sucky snow, and I got stuck. I got the Jeep stuck. I got the Lexus stuck. I don't think I got this stuck. The only time this got stuck, I was able to drive it out, and that was in my local ones. But that's going to do it. Everyone, thank you for hanging out. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to comment down below. I mentioned something at the beginning of the video, And I mentioned about like if someone could give you a vehicle, what would your dream vehicle be? Very interested to see what everyone says. I want to see if there's something other than Jeeps and Toyotas in there. Or how many of you are Jeep people and how many of you are Toyota people? How many of you are like me? Doesn't really care the brand. It's more the model, like the model of the not the brand. I'm out of here. All right, thanks for watching.